Hello viewers, Super GT here, or should I actually say R4M Shadow GT. Finally, I'm revisiting my second account. It's been a long time. In fact, I haven't played on this account since, when would that be? About the middle of June. So a month and a half. Darth Vader here is getting a little bit bored of not being able to ram people off for money. So I had a look at my stats and it turned out the last thing that happened was a very big drop in my driver rating, presumably because of a R4M contract being fulfilled or a rage quit or something along those lines. Okay, so we're going to do some races to build up our profile once again, and nothing better of course than to use a Peugeot, a pink Peugeot that has a dabbing unicorn on the side of it, because that's overpowered obviously. So we go about setting our time. We can only actually use the normal boring livery because it's race A, they hand you the car, you can't use your own livery, so I wasted my time finding that epic livery, unfortunately. Okay, so setting our qualifying time 2:05.6, and we can see the ratings here. This is the problem, you drop down the ratings and it becomes quite difficult to race because you're up against the lower ratings and it can get very messy, and a lot of the time it's a never-ending revolving door of hell. This guy says no strike at turn 1 please. I'm not sure if I can fully comply with that, but we shall see as we head to the Nürburgring for our first race on this account in a long time. The lights go out and we can unleash hell at the green hell, although we're not going around the Nordschleife I suppose, just the Grand Prix circuit today. Starting third, up against a Spaniard and an Italian around the outside, and all I can hear is actually some strikes. It was actually a bowling alley there behind me, as I had a quick look at the radar as well. It didn't seem all that clean at all, and this is something I've commented on a couple of videos before. When you get down into the lower ratings, it's actually a lot harder to race cleanly and therefore to improve your rating. So basically the lower your rating is, the harder it is to get a higher rating. It's kind of weird like that. So you have to be especially clean when navigating these types of lobbies. So my sportsmanship rating down in the 60s out of 99, quite low, and then the driver rating down to 40,000, just over 40,000. When it was 60,000, it was 60, and for a long time Shadow GT was better than Super GT in terms of driver rating, but alas, no longer. That is no longer the case. But we're going to try to rebuild our account here, get it back up to winning ways and a good rating at long last. So we've gapped the Spaniard behind in a comfortable second here, up behind the Italian. Has gone through onto the back straight. He takes a much earlier line in. I'm going to go for the exit speed, which I now have, and I also have the slipstream. I'm going to try to go past him on the way through the kink. Which side is he going to defend? The right hand side. Okay, I'm going to go to the inside for the chicane coming up, and on the brakes, just, I was going to say a little bit too late, but that's actually a long way too late. So I'm going to back off the throttle. I was thinking I was going to get a penalty there, but I think by backing off and letting him go back past, the game determined I didn't actually gain anything. So we have our second opportunity to try to take the lead now. Let's try to knuckle down. It's only 3 laps, actually a very short race this, only about 6 minutes or so, 6.5 minutes. Down into turn 1, and on the brakes nicely there. As we come in, and well, the Spaniard out of nowhere, reminding me of the comment we saw earlier, no strike please. He's actually carried that out to great effect and wiped me out pretty much, but he actually moved over there, just let you go back past, pretty much realised that wasn't really a good move at all. Although if it was an R4M move, it would have been a very good move and I would applaud him for it. But we continue. Unfortunately all that's done is drop us off the back off of a red player 1, the Italian in the lead. The gap 2 seconds now, so we just need to get our head down, set a couple of good laps, or a lap and a half, and see if we can get back onto his tail. Coming down into the hairpin then, looking at the curve on the left hand side, you just brake on the beginning of that, and then you kind of V this corner, so you go in deep, cut back, and then go for a straight exit, and then that powers you up nicely into the Schumacher S, taking the curve on the way in. Just opens up the corner a little bit more, so you can carry a little bit more speed through the turn. Gap still 1.9 or 2 seconds to the leader. Hasn't really come down at that point there, but you can gain a lot of time through the chicane at the end of the lap. I would say that's the one place where you can really gain a lot of time by getting it dead right compared to someone who just gets it averagely. Gap down to 1.6. We are gaining 4 tenths taken out of the Italian on that chicane we've just gone around. Braking just before the 100 board there. And again, just really maximising the track limits here. Maybe gone a little bit too hot on the first apex. That's cost us on the way out. In fact, the Spaniard here is going to go for a move. Such was how badly I took it. We're going to give each other space through the final corner. Good racing between the two of us. Just keep the position as we cross the line to begin the final lap. 1.6 the gap to the leader. Haven't gained really anywhere near enough. He's actually got a second penalty there. The Spaniard behind. We can hopefully forget about him unless he goes for another strike into turn 1, which he doesn't. So we keep second for now. Gap to 1.4, 1.3 now as we come through turn 2. It is coming down. I just need to make sure I don't make any silly glaring errors from here to the end. We might well have a chance into that final chicane. Luckily around the Nürburgring there are a couple of overtaking opportunities, and one of, if not the best one, is at the very end of the lap into that chicane. Gap to 1.1, purple set to being set. So 206.5, the fastest lap at the moment here. My best is 207.5, seconds slower, so my second lap there not very good at all. But Ram Shadow with a semi-good showing here in his return race after a very long time out. And I will have to start using this account again because this week's daily races are looking rather ominous for sportsmanship racing, especially with that kart race. All the constant tapping in the rear end. Then you've got Group 1 at Maggiore, which is not ever going to be a great race for cleanliness. And then you have Race B, Group 4 Willow Springs, which is basically route to death, I think is the best way to describe it. So 3 races which will no doubt cause a lot of harm to people's sportsmanship ratings throughout the week. We are 0.6 behind now. The gap has come right down. Can we go for a mega lunge of the Millennium into the final chicane? Not quite, but we are right on his tail now. Is there going to be an opportunity into the final corner? This is very, very close indeed. Gap down to 1/4 of a second. Going to look up the inside, making cover, going defensive. Can we get the cut back on the way out? Gone a little bit deep there. It's not quite going to be possible. He just keeps control of the car, and the Italian going to come through to win the race. It was a good recovery there with a 205.1 on the final lap, but it wasn't enough. Unfortunately, with such a short race, you can't afford to have too many incidents, and we had quite a big one at the start of lap 2. Fastest lap for Darth Vader, but it's only enough for second place. We'll take that though. Had to improve our qualifying time. It was a 205, mid 205. On our first lap out, we did a 205.1. Second lap 205.2. And we absolutely mullered that chicane. I was about 2 tenths down and immediately a tenth up. So just gained 3 tenths through that chicane, crossing the line to go a tenth quicker with 205.0. And that puts me on pole position for this race. So the main thing here really is getting a good launch, a bit of traction control, take it off quite quickly though, and then just hoping that the bowling alley doesn't develop into turn 1. Well, it can develop as long as it's behind me, as long as I get through the corner. Because normally about this point where you begin to really tense up, and you just see those arrows flying in, you just hope they're not going to hit you, and thankfully on this occasion they don't, they hit each other, which is very helpful. So then it's really a case of getting your head down and just nailing this first little sector here. Just remember your training, soldier. Remember what you did in qualifying and just try to do that to good effect. And we've done that. We get through the first sector. 1.4 seconds ahead to the gap there already. So we've gapped them quite quickly there, and it should be, keyword should be, a safe race from here to the end, as long as you just don't do anything really stupid. And that proved to be the case. 8.8 seconds, nearly enough 9 seconds gap by the end, doing a 2:05.1 on the final lap. So pretty pleased with the pace, pole position, fastest lap, and a race win. Well and truly on the path to redemption. Number 6 in the car for race number 3. And again, we all know the drill. Off the line we go from pole position, just trying to avoid the carnage at the start. Can it be done? We meet the apex, and we don't meet any rammers. And that's it. Job done. Job done indeed. And eventually come through to finish the race. So once you got through that first corner, it's jobs are good really. We move on to the Audi Titty, the Titty machine. Let's see if this car can do anything good. As we come into turn 1, a lot closer this time around. The last couple of races had a very good launch. I go a little deep into turn 1, smashing the cones out of the way, just about keep the lead somehow. As we go through turn 2, it's going to be a lot closer this time around. I actually got a small nudge in the rear end there. The guy behind just let me know that he has not given up on this race just yet. It's through turn 4, onto this mini straight leading towards turn 5, and thankfully the gap opens up very quickly to 0.7 of a second, almost out of the prime suck zone of 0.8. It's gone through 5 into 6, and then down in towards the hairpin. Gap increases to well over 1.3 seconds, and that is another case of getting the job done nice and early. From pole position, you just need to be really clinical in these races up against the lower rated players if you are normally a higher rated player and you've had one of those disastrous DR resets. So getting a penalty because I'm an absolute idiot by cutting a corner, and unfortunately I need to be as clean as possible because I'm trying to build my sportsmanship rating, so that really doesn't help at all. But eventually we get another win. And I'm going to have to brave race C, I think. It's going to be absolute carnage, given especially that I haven't set a qualifying lap for it. And we do have to find, of course, a good livery. I found this one. It's probably the worst livery I think I've ever seen of all time. Pretty bad. But we're going to go with it. Starting 16th, didn't set a lap time. You can see the variation in lap time. Pretty much a minute difference from 1st to 15th on that qualifying grid. We're going in 16th though, no time set. So let's see what we can do then. Ideally, we need to get through as many people as possible while being as clean as possible. No contact. I don't want to get any SR rating drops. So that's the tough challenge because we all know this track is fairly narrow. Luckily the cars aren't too fast, so you can somewhat control the cars in a decent way around each other, without ramming each other off, presumably, but we shall find out, no doubt, in quite a while around this race. 2 laps, no pit stop needed, you can do the whole race on 1 set of tyres and on 1 tank of fuel. So it's just a straight dash of the Nordschleife loop. So we go from the GP circuit over to the green hell itself. Now this guy kind of left the space and then just turns over really late. And this is kind of the thing you'll notice when you go down to the lower lobbies. Just you do have to kind of adapt the way you drive because they just do different things basically. The things you come up against in these lobbies it's just different. It's just a different way of racing, and you do have to kind of adapt to it. So you have to be a little bit more forthright sometimes. So that guy's spinning out, gain another position. That's 2 positions. Come up against this French guy here, and it was quite tough. We all know that this track is very difficult to overtake around, especially if the car ahead doesn't really make too many mistakes. So this guy just keeping it nicely on the racing line. Not too much I can do other than be patient and wait for an opening to appear. And through this triple apex right-hander, that is where it does appear. It goes very wide, and I just try to glance past as we get the job done. I was worried I was going to get a penalty for that. We do get an SR drop, but we can continue with the position up to 12th. Now about 3/4 of the way around the lap, catching up with this German on his home track. And we've caught a nice big group here. 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th and 6th place, all within visual sight at one point there. As this guy goes very wide, just going to go for the gap. And again, similar to the way I overtook the Italian, the gap was there, you go into the gap and then they still begin to just edge across, just try to force you off the track. And we just managed to get past on that occasion, up into 11th place, again with the big group up ahead. There's plenty of opportunities to gain more positions in this race, so it certainly is not over. 12 seconds away from the leader, it's going to be very difficult to get up into the lead or a podium, but we can see maybe about 4th or 5th or 6th place, that kind of position, as we have one lap to go. We're going to whip forward around this section of the lap as we come up towards the last corner before the very big back straight here at the Nordschleife. So coming through this long right, we're going to tuck into that slipstream, which is going to be crucial. A couple of guys with penalties there, the guy 9th with the penalty, so he's going to lose a lot of speed and a lot of momentum down the entire straight. And again, you can see the German here just begin to come across. You just go around him. So firmly into that slipstream. The German behind me is in my slipstream. Lots of cars up ahead, some of them going quite slowly, I think. There may well have been penalties. Into that slipstream off the Frenchman. We're going to pull out to the left hand side, and he just brakes. I'm not sure what he's trying to do there. It looked like he was trying to brake check me, but thankfully just get around him in time. That would have absolutely ruined the entire straight, as I've got a lot of momentum there to go past that guy. And then these two guys, the Germans, having a civil war of the Nordschleife back straight, murdering each other. I gain another position. That's 4 positions on one straight gained. So good job there. Up into 6th place, with 4th now truly within sight, and 4th actually has a penalty. So we could actually possibly get 4th at this rate. 3rd, I think, I can't quite see where 3rd is, sorry. It's going to be quite tricky. In fact, 3rd is just at the top of the picture, going into turn 1. So perhaps could be possible if we can fire in a very good lap and maybe hopefully get past these two guys very quickly. Get the trophy for doing our first lap around the Nordschleife. As we then progress further around the lap, this guy puts his hazard lights on. Just going to pull over and have a cup of tea while he's racing, as we go past him quite easily, myself and the Portuguese guy here. So through the double right-hander into that slipstream, which is crucial. It really does matter a lot, and in fact in many ways it's borderline overpowered on this game, but it's the way it is, so you have to make the most of it. So we're going to dummy to the right and hopefully open up the space on the left. It does open up. We're going to go to the left, and again just moving over to the left hand side, so I'm going to have to back out here into one of the fastest, most dangerous corners on the circuit. Just going to back out, live to fight another day and try to overtake him later on. We've still got at least how long? 8 more minutes of racing, so there's going to be plenty of opportunities to get past him. And again, the space opens up. This is a theme of this race, really. Space is opening up, but then people turning across once you've kind of gone into the gap. But we're just going to back out again and wait and be patient and wait for that truly big opening to arise. And then I'll go 100% full send attack mode into it and live to not regret it, hopefully. So 3rd place just around the corner, although that is a good 5-6 seconds. So the gap, I mean, if that was Group 3, that would be like a 2-second gap. If it's these cars, because they're a lot slower, that gap is technically a bigger gap. Because they're so much slower, it takes a longer time to cover that distance. So again, the space opens up, not much space being given, but we get the job done up the inside, up into 4th. So our patience paid off there, as we eventually get the job done. Later on the straight, the uphill long straight before the carousel, guy behind, who just overtook the Portuguese guy, back in the slipstream. So I'm going to have to go defensive here, just looking at that radar, looking behind briefly. He's right on our tail as we go into this right-hander. Cover the inside line. There's no way he's going to get past. And I can keep the 4th as we have a look at how this car tackles the carousel. It's going through here just shy of 50 miles an hour. It's nice and planted. And on the way out, we can consolidate our 4th position. By the end of the race, This guy did have a penalty, served it on the main straight, or the long straight, lost a couple of seconds. We got to within 3 seconds, but it wasn't enough to get that podium. And that guy kind of reset there. I thought I was going to gain a position, didn't know what was going on, but it wasn't to be. We're going to finish 4th ultimately. But that is it from me today. Have a nice day, everyone. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.